Hello and welcome to the Midnight Archive. I'm Mike, the producer. We need your help in the comments. Let us know what's working. Let us know the kind of stories you're wanting to hear. Let us know if the video you watched is the kind of story you want to hear. We're really trying to follow what our subscribers and our viewers are watching, what they want. Not just view counts, not just likes, dislikes, but we want to hear from you. So the more active you are on our channel with comments, the more you're going to help form what this channel is going to be like and what kind of stories are going to come on it.
There's probably no other subject that gets people more excited than the idea of aquatic monsters. The fact that we don't know what lies beneath the ocean's surface means that our imaginations can run wild with all sorts of things that could be down there. A creature is said to live in Scotland and has been described as being a large, furry, humanoid creature with green skin, and I'm not talking about the Hulk. While there have never been any conclusive pictures or videos of the beast, there have been hundreds of reported sightings over the years. Take, for example, the Champ. This creature is said to inhabit Lake Champlain, which is located between New York and Vermont. The Champ has been described as being a large, snake-like creature with humps like a camel. A creature with distorted features may be something that's scaly and green or slimy and gray. Whatever your thoughts, you're not alone. Creatures with distorted features are a common sight in movies and TV shows, but they're also said to exist in real life. This creature is said to be enormous and extremely aggressive. It has been described as being snake-like with a huge gaping mouthful of sharp teeth. The creature is said to be so powerful that it can drag its victims underwater with ease. One of the most famous attacks of the Black Lake Monster happened in 1988 when a young boy was swimming in the lake with his friends. Remember, if you ever go for a swim in a lake, be careful. You never know what might be lurking beneath the surface. The monster is said to have surfaced and taken him underwater before he could even scream. His friends watched in horror as he was dragged down into the murky depths and never seen again. While there is no photographic evidence of the Black Lake Monster, there are many people who claim to have seen it. Some believe that it is a giant snake that lives in the lake, while others believe that it is a real monster. Take, for example, the Loso. This creature is said to live in the swamps of Louisiana. This creature is said to live in the swamps of Florida and has been described as being a huge bear-like creature with sticky, gooey flesh. As we mentioned, the Loch Ness Monster is probably the most famous lake monster in the world. It's said to live in Scotland's Lake Ness and has been described as being a large, hairy humanoid creature with green skin. One of the most famous sightings was in 1933 when a couple driving along the loch saw a strange creature basking on the shore. They stopped their car and watched as the monster walked into the water and disappeared. Another famous sighting was in 1960 when a group of tourists reported seeing a huge creature with a long neck swimming in the loch. Despite all these sightings, the Loch Ness Monster has never been caught or killed. So its existence remains a mystery. Some believe that it's simply a large animal such as a seal or otter, while others believe that it's a real monster. It is said to be very aggressive and will attack anyone who comes near it. One of the most famous sightings was in 1976. When a group of hikers claimed to have seen a strange creature in the swamp. They said that it was huge, covered in slime, and looked like a bear. Other people have reported seeing similar creatures in other parts of the world, too. For example, in Africa, there is the Mokumbem, which is said to be a dinosaur-like creature that lives in the Congo River. Then there is the Yowie, which is said to live in the forests of Australia and is said to have thick, rubbery skin. Both of these creatures are said to be very dangerous, and it's best to steer clear if you see one. And has been described as having the body of a lizard and the face of a monkey. While there is no photographic evidence of the loss, there are many people who claim to have seen it. One of the most famous sightings was in 1831, when a group of hunters claimed to have seen a strange creature in the swamps. They said that it had a green face and body and was covered in scales. Other people have reported seeing similar creatures in other parts of the world, too. For example, in India, there is the Mahishasura, which is said to be a buffalo-like creature with a human face. Then there is the Manananggal, which is said to live in the mountains of the Philippines and is said to have the body of a woman and the wings of a bat. She lures young men to their death. Both of these creatures are said to be very dangerous, and it's best to steer clear if you see one. While there is no photographic evidence of the champ, many people claim to have seen it. They claim to have seen a creature that was trying to mate with a woman who was sunbathing on a rock. The creature was described as being humanoid, but with green skin and webbed hands and feet. It is said that the creature tried to communicate with the woman, and when she refused its advances, it became angry and tried to attack her. The men had to scare the creature away before it could do any harm. While this story may sound unbelievable, there are other similar reports that have come in over the years. In fact, there have been several reports of humanoid creatures trying to mate with women in lakes and rivers round the world. These creatures are often described as being hairy and foul-smelling, and they seem to be attracted to the female form. It is unclear why these creatures would behave in this way, but it is possible that they are simply trying to reproduce. One of the most famous sightings was in 2008, when two kayakers claimed to have seen a huge creature swimming in the lake. They say that it was at least 50 feet long and had a humped back. Other people have reported seeing a similar creature in other lakes around the world. For example, in Australia, there is the bunyip, which is said to live in the swamps and billabongs of New South Wales. Then there is the Ogopogo, which is said to live in Okanagan Lake in Canada. All of these creatures are said to be malevolent, and to avoid them is wise. One of the most famous came in 1933 when a couple driving along the loch saw a strange creature standing on the shore. Well, at least that's what the legends say. Mermaids are said to be half human and half fish, and they're said to live in the deepest parts of the ocean. While there is no scientific evidence that mermaids exist, there are many people who claim to have seen them. One of the most famous mermaid sightings was in 1909, when a group of fishermen off the coast of Scotland saw a strange creature swimming in the water. They said that it had the upper body of a woman and the tail of a fish. Other people have reported seeing mermaids in other parts of the world, too. For example, in Japan, there is the Ningyao, which is said to be a mermaid-like creature that lives in the ocean. Then there is the Sirena, which is said to live in the swamps of Louisiana. Both of these creatures are said to be very beautiful, but they're also very dangerous. That's because they're said to lure sailors to their deaths. They stopped their car and watched as the monster walked into the water and disappeared. Another famous sighting was in 1960, when a group of tourists reported seeing a huge creature with a long neck swimming in the loch. Despite all of these sightings, the Loch Ness Monster has never been caught or killed, so its existence remains a mystery. Some believe that it's simply a large animal such as a seal or otter, while others believe that it's a real monster. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll find out for sure. And while most of these are harmless fish or other sea creatures that we haven't discovered yet, there are some scary stories out there about malevolent creatures lurking in lakes and rivers round the world. In fact, just last year, a film called The Monster of Florence was released. It was based on the legend of a creature that lived in the swamps of Florence, Italy. According to reports, this monster had the body of a man, but the head of a dog. It was said to be vicious and would attack anyone who came near it. Sounds just like Stefan. There were said to be dozens of sightings of this creature before it was finally captured and killed in the early 1900s. Since then, there have been rumors that it may have actually been an alligator that escaped from a zoo. But to this day, no one is 100% sure what this monster actually was. These creatures have been said to attack humans and even lure them into the water to drown. So what are some of the scariest true stories of lake monsters? Let's take a look at 10 terrifying lake monster sightings. 1 story. The Loch Ness Monster is probably the most famous lake monster in the world. Swamp secrets. In recent years, swamp monsters have become very popular in movies and TV shows. Malevolent creatures. Many people believe that malevolent creatures live in the depths of our oceans, but few realize that similar beasts can also be found in lakes. Aquatic half-human. If you ever go for a swim in the ocean, you might come across a mermaid or a merman. Distorted features. When you hear the word monster, what do you think of? Trying to breed with women. One particularly disturbing story comes from 1976, when a group of men were out fishing on a lake in Canada. Eating men? One of the most terrifying lake monsters is the one that is said to live in the depths of the Black Lake in Bulgaria. Speaking of huge monsters, let's take a look at the gummy bear, the Loch Ness Monster. We mentioned the Loch Ness Monster earlier, but it deserves its own spot on this list. Beware of the water. We hope you enjoyed learning about some of the scariest true stories of lake monsters.